Hi everybody, I am raw food chef Chaya-Ryvka from livingvision.com here on behalf of Living Tree Community Foods. This is Hodaya Aketriel. If you've seen our videos, you probably know him by now. And we are going to make a delicious summer recipe for a fruit cobbler. Right now it's late summer and we're using some beautiful yellow plums that came off of my neighbor's tree. So we had the yellow plums available to us, and you might have some delicious ripe fruit available to you growing on your trees in your neighborhood, in your neck of the woods. And so I would suggest using that because those are going to be the sweetest, most delicious fruit. Ripe, off the tree is always the best way to go. And so really you can use any fruit for this recipe. I'm going to be adding a little bit of honey to my recipe. You can choose to add that or omit that depending on how sweet your fruit is. If you have some nice tart apples, you might really like it. If you have a sweet tooth, you might really like it no matter what. I did this recipe with some delicious white nectarines from the farmer's market, and it really didn't need any added sweetener to it. So use your own taste buds to discern about that. But this is a really fun, easy recipe. First, I'll let you know here's about 8 cups or 2 quarts of sliced fruit. And if you have a large fruit, I would cut that into quarters so that once you slice it, I used my food processor with the fine slicer. The pieces are bite-sized and you'll be able to cut and serve your cobbler pretty easily. So to your sliced fruit, if you choose to add a sweetener, I'm choosing honey. If you're vegan, you can choose whatever liquid sweetener you prefer. I'm going to use a little of Living Tree's wonderful Snuggle Spoon honey. And my honey is going to pour into the, right, Hodaya? You're my honey. I'm going to just measure out 2 tablespoons. Ooh, does that look good? Mm-hmm. Okay, can you pour that into the bowl, sweetheart? Honey! And now I'm going to push that and scrape it down there. Okay. You can even start mixing that if you want to, Hodaya.
Hard.
It's hard to mix it. Just go nice and slow.
Hard too.
It's hard to go slow, but you can pour some more in there. So the next ingredient we're going to add here is some fresh squeezed lemon juice, which gives it a nice tart flavor. So this is kind of like, you know, a dressed up fruit salad. It's very easy and it's really delicious. Hodaya, would you like to pour this in there? Lemon juice. Okay. Good. And now we're going to put a small pinch of salt, which just helps all of the flavors to brighten up and come together. Small pinch, Hodaya, small. Let's see what you got there. Can you put that in? Can you put that in there? It might have stuck to your fingers because you had a little something on there. And then we're using some of Living Tree's Ceylon or Ceylon. I think it's Ceylon cinnamon, which is the cinnamon with the healing oils in there. People talk about those powerful cinnamons, the healing power of cinnamon, and it is specifically the Ceylon cinnamon. So we're going to put a teaspoon and a half, 1 and a half. Yeah. You can mix all that together. Try not to get your hands inside though. Wonderful, Hody. It might be easier too if I bring it right down here in front of you. And then we're also going to add a little of the vanilla powder. And just under a half teaspoon is enough of the vanilla powder. Okay, and now we can mix all of that together and then our fruit base will be complete. You want me to finish it up? Okay. Now these plums are really juicy. It's likely that your cobbler will not be this juicy.
Yeah.
Actually, this one might not set up too well as a cobbler. It might be better as a parfait, which is another really nice thing about this recipe, is that you can either set it up, that's not going to go in here, honey. You can either set it up, you can put that in your mouth, but not in the bowl, okay? You can either set this up in a 9 by 9 inch cake pan like this one, or you can get out some nice parfait cups and serve it in your parfait cups. So this is our fruit base, and I'm going to leave it in here for right now. And in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and make our cobbler crumble. This is going to go on top. So let's see if we can bring this over. Will it reach? Yeah, it reaches right there. So Hody, you can be in charge of turning it on and off, okay? So here I have 4 cups of walnuts. And I did prepare these walnuts beforehand. You can choose what you would like to do. What I did to prepare them was I took my walnuts, more than 4 cups of walnuts, but I took about 4 cups of walnuts, 1 pound of Living Trees walnuts, and I soaked them in water with about a teaspoon of salt. So I covered them by about 2 inches. I added a teaspoon of some of the Himalayan sea salt. I mixed that up and I let that sit overnight. The next night I rinsed it, I added more water, more salt, and let that soak for another night. So I really soaked these a long time to help release the enzyme inhibitors and also neutralize the phytic acid. And then what I did was I dehydrated them. I did soak them in a little plain water for a while, maybe 6 hours, and then I dehydrated them at a low temperature of about 110 degrees for a good 24 hours. And now I have these crispy, delicious nuts that are just a lower acidic nut to eat. So in general, it's a healthier nut. Now, you can choose to do that. You can also choose to use them raw if you eat raw nuts anyhow, or if you don't have a dehydrator and you want to do this method, you can always put them in your oven at a very low temperature and just slow roast them, or leave the door open at maybe 200 degrees and let them roast for a really long time that way. So those are all options to neutralize the phytic acid and release the enzyme inhibitors. Hody, I don't want you playing with these because I don't want it to spill. I can give you, if you want some lids to play with, you can get some lids from here, okay? Plenty of lids there. You can open that up if you want to. Or you can also help me put these walnuts in the food processor. Okay. So I measured these 4 cups out after they had been soaked and dehydrated. Now to that we're going to add 6 to 8 dates, depending on how sweet you want your crumble. Hody, do you want to put the dates in? And we're using these beautiful medjool dates. They have not been soaked. They're just like you get them from Living Tree. As Hody's putting some dates in here, I'll go ahead and add some of our other ingredients. Again, we want a little salt, about 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, 1/8 to 1/4 teaspoon. I like having my crumbles and crusts just have that slight sweet, salty flavor. And then we're also going to add some more cinnamon, another 1.5 teaspoons to 2 teaspoons. As you can see, it's a very loose recipe. I make stuff like this a lot at home, and I don't really tend to use a recipe with it. Okay, and then a little more vanilla. So it's similar ingredients that you have inside of your fruit salad base or your cobbler base. And we're just using about a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. Are you all done, sweetie? Okay, so I'll add the rest of these. So I added about 7 medjool dates. If they're smaller, add more. If they're larger, add less. Taste, and then you can always add to that. Hody, would you like to turn this on? Nope. Okay, I'm going to turn it on. Now we're just going to get these this broken down until it resembles a nice crumble. Okay, I've stopped that. I just want to give it a little taste. Cody, do you want to taste the crumble? It's delicious. That's really perfect. Okay, so our crumble is ready, our fruit base is ready. Now, normally what you would do is pour this right into your pan and then put the crumble on top of it, but because mine is so watery, I'm going to prefer to keep these separate. You might want to do that anyhow, because keeping it separate will keep the crumble. You would like some more crumble?
Crumble.
Here's a little crumble and you can eat it with this spoon, okay? So keeping those separate will keep the crumble from getting soggy. Also, if you're serving it at a party and it's all going to get eaten up right away, you should just go ahead and put the crumble right on top. It looks beautiful, it serves really beautifully. But if, like me, you've gotten a very watery base, it will probably work better as a parfait. And if you're just making it for yourself and your family and it's going to last you 4 or 5 days, which is about the extent that you want to save it anyways because it's this fresh fruit, it will be better to keep it separate and serve it in individual servings. That way your crumble will stay fresh. So I think what I'm going to do here is layer a little of the crumble right on the bottom of this cup, like so. And then I'm going to add some of our plum cobbler filling. Okay, and we'll do another crumble layer. And in doing parfaits, you definitely want to make sure that each layer has some room along the edge of your glass so that it can be seen from the side, because that's part of the beauty of a parfait. And now we're going to do a little more cobbler. Okay, and finally a bit of crumble to go right on top. And I actually also have a little whipped cream that we can put a dollop on. Just a moment, sorry. Oh, Dia, just a moment.
Wait.
One moment.
The cream.
Yeah, you can have some cream too. Now we could have also layered this cream inside of the fruit cobbler, but I hadn't thought about that as we were going. So if you have a favorite whipped cream recipe, it's really delicious to serve whipped cream with your cobbler. And we'll also be making a video for this whipped cream, which is a light lucuma chia coconut cream that has many different functions. So this is our fruit cobbler, our fresh fruit summer cobbler. I'm Chaya-Ryvka from thelivingvision.com. This is Hodiah Ketriel. We're here on behalf of Living Tree Community Foods. We wish you well. Have fun in the kitchen.